hello everybody, and welcome to the 29th episode of The Lab. As always, sitting with you here is Alex Trotter, Brandon Wierig, and I'm Luke Wallenkamp. We hope you guys enjoyed last week's episode with Dr. Matt Frakes from LSU. We had a great time talking with him, good dude. A lot of wonderful information. We hope you guys take advantage of a lot of that, the websites that he listed, and also just the importance of following a good nutrition plan. And finding that individual or provider that can really put you on a good course. Today, what we're going to talk about is going back about 2 weeks ago. Coach Joey G had brought up a good point of learning how to coach. So today, what we're going to talk about is just how can you make some of those improvements? Because obviously, we didn't start in the position that we are now. We've had to work on a few inefficiencies, few things that we've kind of brought us to the coaches and clinicians that we are today. So what we'll kind of start off with is maybe just when you guys have interns over at No Name Athletics, what are some of the things that you guys do to help the interns just kind of settle in and get more comfortable as they, maybe work into more of a public setting? Huge grins.
I always tell my interns when they come in to kind of introduce themselves and we get to meet for the first time that the first week it's not about like sports performance. That's like one of the last things on the totem pole when it comes to the first week. It's all about just getting to know the kids, introducing them, get to know their names, and then just kind of finding some fun fact about them, maybe like a relationship.
What's the best fun fact you've ever gotten?
Oh, man, there's some good ones out there.
I got it now.
Not really a fun fact. It's like you get to know these kids on maybe deeper levels than you anticipate, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it kind of be more of that, which I won't get into.
Yeah.
Understandable. How about you?
Well, my favorite one is with Landon. We found out that he can't swim, so he puts floaties on anytime that he eats soup because he's like afraid of drowning.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Okay, I was like, wait, hold on a
I
second.
just like messing with that kid.
So how do you help the interns?
I kind of just want to see. So I just asked them like, hey, tell me where they're having a breakdown at, like during a squat or a bench or something like that, because it kind of gives me an idea of like how long they've been around like a weight room setting, I guess, and then as far as if they're able to speak it in like in like a way that the athlete's going to understand, rather than like a textbook thing, because I think it was Matt that had said it, talking about how like nobody wants to know when you go to an auto repair place like how the car starts. I just want it to start, so that kind of thing. Like they just want to get the problem fixed. That's how I prefer to do it. Is kind of just like see where they're at and then go from there.
That's funny. So I just had, as soon as you said that, like in the terms that you want them to explain it in, I just immediately thought of one of my students I had maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where they were trying to work with one of my patients and like teach them how to like just improve their squat. And they're like, I need you to move your ankles into dorsiflexion. And the patient, he's probably like a 62-year-old dude.
Right.
Looks up and goes, what the hell is dorsiflexion? And I just remember I spit my coffee out. It was all over my computer. She looked back at me and she was like, and I'm like, well, what is dorsiflexion? Like, explain it to him.
Yeah.
He clearly doesn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
So then like she was like, just let your knees go forward. And immediately just clicked. He was like, just say that the first time.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Okay. So I definitely agree on that. Kind of meeting in the ground on terminology. One thing that I've kind of gotten into with like when I have, physical therapy students is I will kind of sit down with them and find out like what is your best way of learning, if that makes sense. Like are you a visual person? Are you more of like an auditory? What level of feedback do you want? Like in the moment? Do you want it after like the session? Do you want it at the end of the day and go through each person? Like I had one individual who did not like feedback in the immediate moment. We found that out real quick because as soon as they got that feedback, it was like I just shambled their confidence and immediate, like, just deflated them. And so, like, we found, I was like, let's just go through this and talk because, this is your last rotation. Let's talk through this and kind of find out what way you really need feedback. And then I can be a better coach to you. And then you can, in part, then coach or work with the patients in a better manner. So when you guys have that struggling intern or maybe that person who is just absolutely quiet as a church mouse, what have you guys done to kind of like bring them out of their comfort zone a little bit? But like obviously maybe not throw them to the wolves.
Make fun of their eyebrows.
Yeah. And I usually just joke with them a little bit. Things like that. Trying to think of some of the interns like we've had. A lot of them are just. I think COVID took a hit on like a lot of kids, not just like kids in general, but like also like that this age.
Yeah.
Where they've been like basically
sheltered.
Yeah.
For the most part. I mean, not like in a bad way, but yeah.
Communication skills are kind of lacking and things like that. And then some people just don't have like a coach's voice. Like when you got music playing in the background, kids yelling and stuff like that. Like you have to kind of amplify it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Some people just don't have that, which I would rather have. Kind of like what Joey said last week. It's kind of like, or was it Joey?
Yeah, Joey. Yeah.
I'd rather have a person that is kind of naturally good with kids, and I can teach them like our philosophies and things like that, versus having the world's smartest person that can't teach or talk or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that's definitely been kind of a different impact, I guess, throughout a lot of people's, not just this career, but other people's careers too. That no one's used to, or it's kind of a new era of problems, I guess.
Yeah. Ones that we're all navigating it together, kind of thing. As far as that goes. But yeah, I mean, selfishly, I like to think that we are a very good gym to learn under, because like all of us are pretty like outspoken, and we're not going to sit there and just like hammer like our interns and belittle them like the whole time without like giving them any sort of like helpful tips or cues or like feedback, I guess, because it's one of those too. It's like with a few of them, we can just see like stuff with like their training that's like, hey, if you would just switch this, and this, you would probably break that PR. So then I want to see them as well, like, okay, like I'm going to apply that, see if it works for myself, because then if it does, like they'll be able to pick up on the same cues that like a kid's having, that are having those issues, and be able to apply that to that kid, and then it's just trickle down effect from there. So like I'm a big believer of you have to get like under the bar to like learn like because if you can't fix your problems, then how are you going to fix somebody else's? That's how I look at it too.
No, I agree with that 100%. It's kind of like what Joey even mentioned, and actually a few people have mentioned in the past. Like, you don't have a training history and you don't understand like some of the terminology, and then you go to work with an athlete and you can't really relay the information in an adequate way. There's a disconnect. Like you have knowledge and information, then you have being able to present that information. If you can't teach it, you don't know it. And like that's a big thing with exercise corrections and modifications. I think goes a long way with terminology. If the person doesn't understand what the heck you're trying to correct, it's just wasting time. So if you can find that even playing ground where like both people can make an understanding, that's big. Let's see here. So with the interns that you guys have, how many interns have you guys had in total? Do you guys know off the top of your head?
Well, we kind of are different. We have like our exercise science interns, we have marketing interns, we have like sports management interns, we have interns that kind of like hit different sectors, like the whole business, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
Like Xavier's a marketing intern. Yeah. Lucy is she kind of wants to run like a facility.
Yeah.
So she kind of did like a mock summer camp type
Mm-hmm.
thing, and then you have like your exercise science.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
the only ones that really haven't touched on was like the business side, I guess.
Yeah.
Of it.
Yeah.
For interns, but
I didn't know you guys did all that. That's actually really sick.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, we try to provide a platform for like all the kids, because usually they're all ex-athletes like of ours as it is, so we already have that relationship built. So it's easy to kind of like transition. Like, all right, I the trainer, if you will, already know some of your tendencies and how you respond to different things.
Yeah.
So if you can like put that into a business sense, they kind of get to see like the back end of things of, because it's not all like sunshine and rainbows. They don't see like after all the sessions, we're all sitting in the office and we're discussing like, hey, like this person, that person did really well. This one's like struggling. How would you approach this? And stuff along those lines too. Like we're all sitting there picking each other's brains, and at the end of the day, it's if we can get the athlete better, then that's all that matters.
Makes sense.
then they get to see the not so fun part where it's you get
Riding programs.
riding the programs. You get the lunch break, but the turf needs swept. So you got to sweep the turf. You got to clean the bathrooms.
Yeah, pick up all the weights because they leave them all out, or the bands are on the other side of the gym somehow for whatever reason.
Take the trash out. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Find all the collars that Bo brought you when you first came in.
It's a 25,000 square foot facility. It's kind of hard to keep clean.
Yeah.
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 I think I still have a picture of you sweeping in the old building. I remember I put that up on my Instagram and I said, he is domesticated.
Yeah.
I used to bitch about that old building too, and now it's like,
Yeah.
hey man, I'd have been done cleaning an hour ago.
Oh,
I don't
man.
know. It's like, especially for exercise science interns, like it's a weird field because it's not like one of these things where you graduate, you go to a job where it's like, okay, you got locked in salary or you got locked in hours. Like, I only work with groups maybe 4 hours a day,
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
so I get paid hourly. I only get paid for basically a
hours.
20-hour work week.
Yeah.
So where's that extra money come from? That's where your commission comes in, and that's where your
Time management
Yeah.
skills have to be on point.
you want to get onto the online business
Yeah.
and things like that. And some of these kids are kind of realizing like it's almost like you got to take out a loan to get to where you need to be
Mm-hmm.
down
Mhm.
the road. So like I end up like I was talking to my intern the other day. Like when I could move back home, I went back to the factory. So I worked 8 hours at a factory. Then I came to the gym and worked from 4 to 9 in the gym, and I did that for 8 months
Mm-hmm.
until I finally built up a somewhat credible reputation to where I could fully commit to go online, or not online, but like full time
Yep.
coach.
Yep.
And it's kind of a grind,
Yep.
but I was kind of like, okay, factory's not life, not for you. Now you have your bachelor's degree, you can throw your name in substitute teaching, kind of work on communication skills in the same setting.
Yeah.
You're still in front of a bunch of kids. You still have a lesson to teach,
Mhm.
and it's kind of the same principle, just the subject different.
You're a substitute teacher?
You can be with
Can
a
be
bachelor's
with bachelor's, yeah,
Oh, I was like, wait a minute.
to kind of fill that.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
to fill the gap during the school year.
I mean, 'cause
It's
you still got bills to pay at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Unless
they
you go to
don't
like
go
your
away.
Anytime Fitness or your Orange Theory or your.
Mhm.
So I kind of prepare like our interns to be like, you wanted to start your own business, this is what's going to take.
Yeah.
And I think everything else underneath that is a little bit less challenging.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know when I was in undergrad, I did a little bit of personal training, but not like a lot. Just didn't have time. Jeez, Pete. I can't even imagine you as a substitute teacher now. That's like the only thing I got in my brain.
Now, if I thought about doing it for a little bit, and then I'm like, not good.
Yeah.
And they call me Mr. Weirig.
Yeah.
Gym teacher only.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Script mechanics.
This is an English class.
Yeah.
Yeah, write a story about someone sprinting.
Well, I think that's good too, though, because like I'm currently like in the transitioning process. Like I'm coming very close to making the switch to full time. But that hasn't gone without the last year and a half of 12 to 14-hour days, and that's like Monday through Friday every single week. Like not doing that, and then coming in on Saturdays as well. So like you have to make those sacrifices in order to live the life that you eventually want to. So there's a lot of work that goes like behind it, and a lot of energy drinks to get through the day.
That is very true.
That's the hardest thing. I mean, like,
Yeah.
coach, like, you're on your feet all day.
Yep.
You're yelling all the time. You kind of.
I constantly forget to drink water.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like I'm going 3-4 hours without a drink, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I haven't had a bathroom break either. I haven't drank any water, and I haven't eaten. Uh-oh. No wonder I'm getting kind of cranky in this last class.
It's kind of a first shift and a second shift combined.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like your typical, you log in at 9 and you're done at 5 every day. It's my schedule changes the day.
Yep.
My schedule might change an hour before I'm supposed to do something else.
Yep.
So it's just constant.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what you got to let the interns know and things like that. And I feel like it's you don't get into this and think that you're not going to have to be in front of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's kind of a calling type thing. Like,
mm-hmm.
either going to do it, either want to do it or you don't want to do it, anything remotely close to it.
Yeah. Another thing too that I just thought of is you have to be like a certain coach, I guess, for each class. So, you know, like, even though you're tired because we just did 3 straight classes in a row, like that 4th class, they're still expecting that same energy. Like, that's why they come here.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you have to, it's constant, like reflipping that switch and like being excited. I mean, obviously, like, I'm going to get excited like when the kids are lifting and everything like that, and watching them progress, like even during their speed stuff. Like, you know, I'm not always over there at that time, but like I'm still seeing and I'm peeking through and like, yeah.
That's something you really got to watch when you like start building a reputation, and then you start moving your prices up.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden, like I try not to go. Ideally, I try not to go over 8 sessions a day.
Yeah.
Including my one-on-ones and my group. So 4 groups and then 4 one-on-ones. Because if I try to like get money hungry and I try to go into 9 and 10 sessions and I'm charging these kids $60 to $75 for that session and I'm just kind of like down and out.
Yep. It's not
my
fair.
reputation, and that's not fair, and everything starts to just go downhill.
Yep.
So I'll sacrifice that money for
quality.
Yeah.
And see, like I learned that because I didn't listen to Brandon, like when you had told me that, and I was like, oh, like no, like I got the energy, like that kind of thing. But then it's like, you know, mid-session, I'm like, man, like I'm crashing. I'm not giving you like as many cues anymore.
Yeah.
So it's one of those where I'm like, hey, I'm not going to charge you for this session. Just going to move it to the back end and kind of give you a free session because I did you a disservice. Like I can't stand like ever having anyone feel as if like I'm taking advantage of them. So I never wanted that for like any of the one-on-ones or like anything like that. So you got to keep that in mind too.
You're providing a service.
Yeah. I mean, with just like
No
anything
problem.
else, like with the interns and stuff, it's trial and error. Like allow yourself and give yourself that freedom to make mistakes because you're going to. But what would you have done if you were an intern in like the physical therapy world? Like what would have shied you away from the business or helped you like lean more into it?
So I had that's actually a great question. Holy crap. So one thing that really kind of deterred me was I had 4 rotations, and I had really good clinical instructors, I won't lie. So I never had like any bad rotations. I actually had a lot of like really good teachers. The one thing, but I would hear like some nightmare stories from some of my classmates where like if I would have had a clinical instructor who was educating me and responsible for like my time because I mean, while you're working that internship, I wasn't getting paid. I went down to Tennessee, I went down to Texas, and like if I would have been there and there would have been another student with the same clinical instructor who now I'm going to be splitting time with, that would have deterred me a little bit more because now it's like, okay, I'm here for, 8-12 weeks. I'm not getting paid at all. And I have to also study for boards towards the end of it all. So it's like, am I really getting enough of an education? That would have oh man, that would have freaked me out.
Yep.
The other thing would have been if my clinical instructor that I did have would have just like completely left me alone. And I had a few friends in PT school who were like, yeah, my CI would basically give me his caseload and then would just like dip out into the lunchroom for like half the patient session and then come back. And I'm like, okay, that sounds horrible. So like we would keep track of like, feedback and like if there's any like lingering red flags, like we had his name was Sean Gallivan. He was awesome. He would intervene if necessary. But that I know of, I don't think we ever had like any instructors or like clinical rotations go haphazard or bad. But if I would have been splitting time with another clinical, like another student for a clinical instructor, or if I was just like, here's your caseload, like here's free labor basically for the next 12 weeks, that would have just ticked me off like nobody's business. But like then I feel like I'm paying my school for this rotation, and now they're just either they don't care or they just want me here for the labor.
Yeah,
that would have been like two big bugaboos for me.
Mm-hmm.
That answer your question?
I think so. Yeah. Well, I think the person that you come into, like the profession, plays a major role that nobody really thinks about until you're out of it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, like I remember like the first like powerlifting gym that I attended, it was almost like such a turnoff that I was just like, why would anybody like want to come here and learn from you? Like, you're a dick, and like I'm a dick. I admit it. Like, my jokes.
I was waiting for you to say that.
I mean, my jokes cross the line every so often.
Every other day.
But I like to think that I provide at least a little bit of humor with it. It's valuable input.
And then I get the patient that works out with you, comes in, and then I just get the entire rap sheet of what you just... Oh, man.
Yeah, builds character.
It does. It teaches them how to have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't do it, like, in a nasty way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, like, if you're...
Like, the brain's just like, yeah.
You hear, because we had, what was it? One of the basketball players is like, we harp on her a lot. She's a big dog. I mean, she can take it.
Oh, yeah.
She's sitting there at the free throw line, and people are just kind of yelling all this shit out there, and it's like,
yeah,
that's nothing compared to what they get at the gym.
Yeah. And they like me at the gym.
That's funny. You did good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's thumping their skin up a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not.
I think sunshine and
It's not like
rainbows.
you're like throwing jabs at like certain like areas.
Yeah.
Just,
Right. Yeah.
That's too funny.
but you're definitely right on that subject. My first, I mean, my first internship was great. I mean, it wasn't like bad, but it was a corporate franchise.
Yeah.
So like they did it this way, and that's the way they did it, and it was very repetitive, and it was kind of on and on and on. Where my second internship was more like kind of how we run our gym now. It's more group wise. It's more have a little bit more individualized to it, but it's also like
it flows.
If I want to change something, I can change it without having to go through this huge chain of command type thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a plus too. Like, just with obviously AJ and Haley, it's just like, hey, like they value our input just like we value theirs.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, we feel as if like we're seeing XYZ, can we change this and see how that goes? And they're like, yeah. So that's very helpful.
It's good to have.
Which is something you got like I was talking like a new intern come in the other day. I'm like, hey, I did the same internship you did.
Uh-huh.
This internship is going to be kind of nothing like the internship you supposedly just did.
Yeah.
So kind of just
a heads
get
up.
ready for that. So yeah, you kind of get, because when you go into your first one, you kind of get like, okay, I got a kind of idea or a feel of how this field works. And then you go
somewhere
to
else,
something else. It's like night and day difference.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Which is kind of the second internship where I kind of fell in love with the field, and
yeah,
I ended up staying an extra 3 months.
Yeah.
To continue to educate myself and learn.
Well, I guess it's more so from the private sector of things too, rather than the commercial aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So then, quick question before I forget it: who has been your best educator? Who's been your best teacher?
Josh Kozier.
Okay, why?
Michigan. He's the guy I did my internship with.
Okay.
He graduated from the same high school I did. He went to Ball State, got his master's and stuff like that, and then he ended up moving to Michigan and opening up his own gym. And that's when I went in underneath him. He taught me everything I know about speed mechanics and stuff like that, and then kind of helped build the foundation of my program lifting wise.
Oh. Okay. How about you?
Mine would definitely be Laura Phelps, Stackhouse, and then Louis Simmons, as far as like from a strength perspective of it. because Laura was just like, she had that ability. If you ever get a chance to meet her, she's like the nicest person you'll ever meet. And it's just like, how in the world were you such a savage? Like, it just makes no sense. But she just has that like unique ability to like flip a switch and just stay like in the moment of like where you need to be. Like, you just need to be right here, focusing on this one lift, and then you can turn your switch back off. And she was just like that all the time. And she was just like, I don't know. She anytime I reach out to her, she'd instantly like get back to you as far as like with questions about like, hey, like why would we do this in this order? She goes, well, it's based on your weaknesses. Da, 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 da. And then because she would program even for like CrossFit and stuff, and then that's like where I was like, okay, like there is like somewhat of a scientific background to the programming for CrossFit, And then Lou was just like he walked the walk and talked the talk, and he had the ability to connect with anybody. I mean, there was like I don't even know. You had like top athletes that went to like big programs to play different sports, and then you had like fugitives that were just like brick shit houses. And it's just like he taught me the importance of relating to everybody in some sort of way, and like the psychological aspect of it, like behind the scenes. Because you need to have like with like extroverts, like they rely on stimulus from outside world. They need the noise, they need like a challenge, like that kind of thing. And like introverts, if you give them too much, they'll shut down. So like, because they're already internally like processing, like, okay, this is how I need to do this. I need to check this. I need to do this. When I walk a squat out, I need to push out on my obliques and like arch my back and pick my chin up and all. So they're just overstimulated to the max as it is. So you just need to be there and have like a calming voice, just like a reassurance kind of thing. So yeah, that was like a big one. And then even with like speed stuff, like I'm constantly still coming over to you. So I'll give you the credit for the speed training aspect of it all. Because, I mean, just like every single time you give me one little like cookie or like one little nugget where I'm like, how did that not click before? And then now it's just like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, this is what he's looking at. This is like the process of where he's looking for breakdowns and all that. And then you can just apply it to the rest of the run or however they need to.
It all makes sense.
Yeah.
Damn.
But I think like a big part of being an intern is like, don't be afraid to ask questions. Like that's the biggest thing. Be outspoken. If you don't know something, you don't know something. You're never gonna know it if you don't ask. And even if you like read about it in a book and you're still not quite grasping it, like ask the ones around you.
Yeah.
Because I may interpret it in a different way than what Brandon does. But then like if I say it one way and he says it another way and it clicks with you, then that's perfect. Like you're past that point now. Go move on to your next question or your next thing that you got to figure out. Mm-hmm. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to look stupid. You're going to. So you might as well just get it all at once and get it out of the way.
And then just get belittled over the next few weeks. It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Happens. You guys both have such big shit grins on.
Well, the best part though is like you get those athletes that have taken the, I guess, a verbal abuse, if you will, and then they finally get through that point, and they like, we had an 11-year-old that I was just like, there's no way you're going to deadlift that, dude. Like, it's out of the question. That's 3 times your body weight. It's not going to happen. And then he did it, and then just double middle finger. And that just, it just makes me so happy.
Jeez.
But it's great. You just kind of let the kids express themselves like however they want. They get an hour away from their parents. Like they typically, I guess, don't have like a friend that comes with them. So you're kind of creating like a relationship builder within that class too. Yeah. And, getting them to be friends with kids from other schools. Because you never know, they could end up playing sports down the line at like an AAU or a select team, like that kind of stuff.
And then you start seeing them on their Instagram and like tagging like other people.
Tagging each other,
like,
yeah.
Make a post, like some other kid from another school will tag them in their post. And
yep.
Kind of like training partners at like
yeah.
or whatever it may be. And then
it's just so good to see.
Like that.
Yep.
Gym networking.
Yeah.
wonderful.
Well, I'm a big proponent on training partners. Like I think your training partner makes a huge difference in the way that you can develop, for better or for worse. I think like if you pick a training partner and you can't beat them in something, then like that needs to be like your goal. Like you need to beat them in something, because like that training partner's like, I'll be damned if you're going to beat me, like that kind of thing too. And it's always good to like have different aspects of your training partners too. Like if I was to train with Brandon, for example, like when we do different like agility drills or ballistics jumping and stuff like that, like I don't have it like I used to, so you wax the floor with me on those. And then, we'll go and do like a barbell movement. And it's like, equivalent. So it's just important to have those. Good.
Yeah.
Sound still working?
Yeah. No, we're good. I was just checking. Yeah, no.
Oh, here you go. If you could go back to your first internship, what would be like one of the number one corrections that you would make that like now, and how you perform your coaching?
Probably would be try to stay more focused in on it. It's because it was so repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just sat there and I said, all right, because it was a Vertimax and they had the 4 squares. And you just did the 1 to 2, 1 to 2 back, kind of the reps, and then it just got repetitive. And I just kind of like easily zoned out, and I was just kind of locked into that one spot. So definitely just working on just staying kind of in the moment more.
Yep.
Which is kind of like what I got to do now in some cases. But
yeah.
A lot of that's just maturing.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to not go stand in the same spot that I was just in. Like if I'm standing there waiting for a kid to ask for a spot, or I'm looking around, and everybody's kind of, they're doing fine. They're not working on like their top set yet, like that kind of thing. And then whenever the first one cracks and I'll walk over there, then I'll stand like in a different spot because I know there's another one coming. It's just a matter of time.
Mm.
So just making sure that you're like staying on your toes like that and being aware. Like, you want to be able to see the weight room, like the whole weight room within like all your peripherals and stuff like that. Because kids are dumb. They'll take weights that they're not supposed to. And then suddenly they got a barbell sitting on their chest and it's crushing them, and their headphones are in, so they don't know how loud they're talking for help. It's like, what are you doing? Let me come help you.
That's funny. All right. Anything else you guys want to add on the wonders of coaching?
I'm good on it, I think. We went on a few tangents.
Yeah.
Sounded good.
Maybe a few. Maybe a few. No. But we hope you guys enjoyed today's conversation on coaching. Any previous interns, if you guys have any questions or if you guys want to reach out, feel free. Always love to hear from you guys. But we will see you guys next time.